Now, how are migrant women able to overcome the ever-present challenges faced when seeking professional roles? And what does the market look like for healthier feminine products promoting intimacy in the bedroom for everyone? Well, we'll get into just that with today's episode of Tick Her, which starts right now. Welcome to Tick Her. I'm Jamila Jallo and it is my pleasure to be here to talk all things business with women who are making a difference. And today we are speaking about diversity and inclusion and why it's crucial to businesses both big and small. And on top of that, we'll look to understand how the step of market validation along the entrepreneurial journey can be an exciting and important step to turn your initial idea into a funded project. Now, to unpack all of this, we'll speak with a pair of female founders who have experienced the journey of getting those ideas off the ground in a world where diversity and inclusion remain as important as ever. And Tick Her celebrates the talents, skills and determination of women worldwide, bringing guests who have successfully achieved their business goals or are taking the first steps of an exciting new venture by sharing it loud and of course saying it proud. And remember, whilst Lift Women is the presenting sponsor of today's discussion, all of the views and opinions are of course our own. Now, to my first topic for today, we've got migrant women face a constant uphill battle when it comes to the professional world, a challenge my first guest is seeking to reduce. Despite being highly qualified, the reality of being a migrant woman with professional background in this world remains a difficult task. Here to unpack this issue and tell us her story is Fabiola Campbell, the founder of Professional Migrant Women. Fabiola, thanks so much for joining me in studio today. It's so lovely to see you and thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Jamila.
Of course. Now, firstly, can you share with us your story and your journey so far as a businesswoman?
Well, as a businesswoman, I would like to say that it's more a social enterprise, the business that I'm conducting, because our social reason is the most important thing for what we do. And the social reason is about bringing visibility and representation of culturally diverse women into all areas of decisions where decisions are made.
Of course. And what makes this particular idea unique and how did you validate it within the market, of course?
Yeah, sure. Being a migrant myself and experienced all the struggles and all the hurdles that I had to overcome to get a professional job in Australia was the first inspiration, and as somebody else will put it, my desperation was my inspiration.
Okay.
However, I started my business 15 years after I arrived in Australia, and in those 15 years I have developed the skills, the connections, the knowledge, and especially, I think most importantly, the desire to help other women that were coming behind me.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think being a migrant has been more of a challenge or more of perhaps a superpower when it comes to being a businesswoman, especially in Australia? I know you're actually an Australian citizen, you're not a migrant in Australia, but what has that experience been like for you?
Well, as you said, I am an Australian citizen because I was born here. However, I grew up in Venezuela, and when I came to Australia, I experienced the whole migration process, starting from learning to speak the language. I feel that as migrants, we have a lot of resources. So, for example, there is an element of taking risks, but obviously calculated risks. And independence, adventure, and also determination, grit, and a lot of resilience and adaptability. And I believe that all of these traits are very valuable in different conditions as an entrepreneur or even as an employee.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I understand you're a part of the Global Sisters Network, which is amazing, and you're currently looking to crowdfund further aspects of your business. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about what projects you're working on and what you're crowdfunding for?
Yes, so currently what we do is that we run a program to help professional migrant women gain professional employment. we know that there are way too many, professionally unqualified women cleaning toilets, serving tables, making coffees. But we know as well that these women have aspirations and they want to get into the workforce. So that's the program that we are currently running.
Definitely.
What we also know, though, is that the barriers don't end there. When these women get professional jobs, a new set of hurdles emerge. Probably one of the biggest one is lack of representation. We don't see women like us in higher levels of decision making, and that's part of the problem, and that's why it's so important to support diverse women to not only grow in their career but to move into leadership positions where they can influence and where they can inspire new generation of migrant women to fill those spaces.
Absolutely. Well, Fabiola, you have definitely shared a really important and inspiring message on Tick Her today. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Now over to my next guest, we have Coco Sensual, who are striving to bring couples closer together by encouraging intimacy and better open communication. Their collection of personal lubricants and massage oils are putting women first while also adding more fun in the bedroom for everyone. Joining me to tell us more is Coco Sensual's founder, Jackie Opie. Jackie, thanks so much for joining me today and having this discussion with me.
Jamila, thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to get to tell the story about the business and what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, did you want to first touch on a little bit on how you started this journey and you got to where you are now?
It's a bit of an interesting story, Jamila. I was traveling about 7 years ago in Bali, and being in Bali, first of all, I love the smells, and whenever I'm there, I spend as much of my time as I can getting massages. And one of the ladies that did a massage for me was using coconut oil. And she whispered over and she said to me, "You can also use it as a personal lubricant."
No way.
So, and then I got so excited because I love natural products when it comes to anything for our bodies. And so I came home and started exploring and adventuring with my husband, and which is how we came up with our first product, which was the personal lubricants. And then we added the massage oil.
Oh, lovely. Now, you might be in a little bit of a taboo market, but that doesn't mean it's a small one. So can you tell us a little bit about your business and what makes it different from the rest?
You're absolutely right, Jamila, in terms of a taboo market. And it's why I get really excited when we get the opportunity to talk about the business, because a lot of people think that it's the sex industry. And for us, it's really about intimacy and helping couples to become more creative with each other and to openly talk about love, intimacy and sensuality in a way that is beneficial to couples rather than looking at it as though it's in the sex industry. And one of the big things for me was looking at products that were existing on the shelves and discovering that a lot of feminine products, even feminine hygiene products, are filled with lots of chemicals and things that I'd been avoiding putting onto my body for decades, only to find that it was hiding in my personal lubricants.
Yeah, definitely. Now, being an entrepreneur is something that's typically been attributed to men. So what are some of the most significant challenges you've faced as a businesswoman?
Look, it's I absolutely hear you with that, and so many of my female colleagues have said the same thing, or other women in business, and it has traditionally been a lot more challenging. I've noticed that sometimes I'm not taken as seriously when I talk about the products. You know, some people don't necessarily take it as a serious business, whereas for me it is a very serious business. And I know that the industry itself in that space of personal lubricants is very male dominated. It's beautiful to see some other women coming forward and putting their products forward, female products for women. And I just think we have such an advantage being female ourselves. One of the biggest challenges for me really has been around getting funding and being taken seriously in the business world.
Yeah, well, on that note, you're also a member of the Global Sisters Network, just like my last guest. So what are you crowdfunding for? And do you want to tell us a little bit about the project that you're going through at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So for me, the product that I have, what's inside the bottle, I'll just show you. Like,
Yes, please.
that's the product itself. It's the personal lubricant in a glass bottle. We love the fact that what we're doing is as environmentally friendly as we can have it. Some of the feedback that I have received is that the branding on the outside doesn't quite match the quality of the product on the inside. And it was very much a bootstrapped business when I got started. So what's inside the bottle is a lot better than what's on the outside of the bottle. And the feedback has now been to start working on the branding of the product and the positioning so that I can start to go to retail stores for them to look at it and recognize that it's been done professionally as opposed to on my computer systems at home.
Definitely. So what has been the most satisfying part of starting and witnessing the growth of your business?
For me, Jamila, honestly, the most satisfying part is the feedback that I get from my clients. So after I came back from Bali, created the products and started giving it to my friends, first of all, because I had to experiment and test, the feedback has now been from people who are buying the product saying that they're just in love with it. It feels so beautiful and so natural on their skin, and that it has helped them become more intimate with their partner and also having more conversations about intimacy and sexuality. And it brings tears to my eyes because when you look at the rate of separation amongst couples, especially through the challenging last 2 years that we've had, it's been horrendous. So
Definitely.
that for me is the most exciting part of what I do.
Absolutely. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for your time on Tick Her today, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's all we have time for on this episode of Tick Her, but be sure to head over to tickernews.co for breaking news from around the world, and of course tickeroriginals.co for content surrounding a myriad of topics and discussions. I'm Jamila Jallo, and I'll see you again soon.